2020. What a year. Hi there, and if you're new to this channel, my name's Gabriel, and 2020 has been a heck of a year. It's been the year where I graduated, it's been the year where I started my first ever grad scheme at Barclays, and it's also the year where I set up this YouTube channel. And to be honest, so much has happened and I've learned so much this year that now that it's the end of the year, I thought I would put them all together into this video and share with you some of the top things that I've learned this year that I really hope would be of value to yourselves, but have been of insane value to me. So the first bit of advice that I want to share with you is start today. This probably stems most from this YouTube channel, but when it comes to anything in life that you have an aspiration to do, a business, a new habit, a goal, something on your fitness journey, the best thing to do is to stop putting it off and start today. There's a famous quote that says, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. And that quote really resonated with me when I was thinking about starting up this channel. If you haven't already done it, just start it today, stop putting it off, and to be honest, that would probably be the single best piece of advice that I can give you. The second bit of advice is all about just getting started and learning on the job. A lot of these analogies are going to come back to this YouTube channel because there's been so many learning experiences for me through it. But when I take editing for an example, I watched 1 2-hour video on how to edit and made my first YouTube video off of that. If I had waited to become the perfect editor before I started my YouTube channel, I wouldn't have made it for years. So I'm so glad that I'm learning on the job, and for me, this is the best way to go about things. Tip number 3 is all about forgetting the spotlight effect. I learned this one in a book called The Courage to Be Disliked. And it's all about this idea that you have this spotlight effect on you all the time, where you think that every single minuscule thing that you notice about yourself is being noticed by everyone else. Whether that's just a strand of hair that's in the wrong position, I promise you, people don't notice these things about you. So it's quite key to get out of that spotlight effect. Stop thinking that everyone's noticing all of these minuscule things about you and be 100 times more confident about yourself. Action brings motivation. Now, for a long time in my life, I always thought that I was never motivated enough to start a lot of the things that I wanted to start. But a lot of research has gone into the fact that motivation often actually comes after you've started taking an action. If you go and work out, during that workout you're going to start becoming more motivated to continue working out, rather than if you wait for that perfect motivational moment for you to actually feel like working out, it might never come along. So just bear in mind that action will actually result in you being more motivated, rather than it being the other way around that I think most of us have believed until now. Input goals rather than output goals. Now, when it comes to life, a lot of the goals that we try and set ourselves are really difficult because they're out of our hands. Take for example going to the gym and you want to lose 10 kilos. That's something that is really hard to kind of see yourself getting there and is quite a far step away. If you instead set yourself the goal, I want to go to the gym 3 days a week, that's something that is completely within your control. And that's what I mean by input goals. For this channel, I could have set a goal of I need 1,000 subscribers by this date or 10,000 subscribers by this date. But the truth is, I set myself the goal of wanting to create 1 or 2 videos per week because that is completely within my control. And when it comes to goals, this is how I recommend you go about yours. The 1% rule is an idea that I've actually brought up in a previous video. So if you haven't watched my video all about productivity, it's above me on one of the sides, so be sure to check it out. What this idea essentially is the idea that if you were to improve yourself 1% every single year, the growth that you'll find happening to yourself will be exponential. You'll increase massively, and just these small changes every single day, learning one more thing every single day, trying to improve a habit a tiny amount every single day, will end up having massive effects after the year's out and beyond that. The next thing that I learned from the year 2020 is something that I'm still trying to get my head around and still very much an active part of what I'm looking to improve on within the next year. But it's all about having a digital note-taking station. What this means is that I'm trying to read a lot more this year, and reading a lot of books is amazing, but quite often you will end up forgetting a lot of the information, a lot of the lessons learned that you really wish you'd retained. So finding systems online, whether that's through note-taking apps such as Notion or Rome. These are things that I'm looking into to try and basically find a centralized database where I can store all of these lessons that I've learned. And I think it's a really impactful way of making sure that you keep tabs on the things that you learn and that you can constantly go back to those whenever you want and relearn those lessons. So this idea comes from a book that I read earlier this year called Getting Things Done by David Allen, which is seen as the Bible when it comes to productivity. And essentially what it's talking about is this idea that the average human has between 30 and 100 things in their brain at any one time. Although the brain is an amazing place at coming up with ideas creatively, it's a shocking place for storing ideas. You never end up remembering exactly what you want to remember at exactly the right time. So to combat this, the idea of writing things down comes into place. I don't mean putting them on sticky notes and putting them around your room, because your room will be covered in sticky notes by the end of the day. But if you have the Notes app on your phone or a notepad or something online, I like to use a resource called Notion, then it will become really easy for you to just jot things down whenever they drop into your brain. And if you regularly check these lists, your stress levels will drop dramatically because everything will be stored there instead of you trying to remember it at the most convenient moment, which is never going to happen. Imposter syndrome is something that I think a lot of us probably suffer from quite a lot. And it's this idea that we don't deserve to be where we are, we don't have the authority, we don't have the education to be in the positions that perhaps we find ourselves in. This couldn't be more true when it came to me thinking about setting up this channel. It's this idea that who's going to listen to me? Who wants to hear the things that I have to say? And if they do hear them, they're going to think to themselves, who is this person to tell me such and such? They have no education on the topic. But the truth is, I have to stop thinking of myself as a guru or at the top level of the subject that I'm trying to talk about.
It's my time to shine!
But instead, I'm trying to be more of a guide and just teach some things that I've learned, not claiming to be the best of the best at anything, but just passing on some information that I think is useful. And doing that, I've managed to completely combat this idea of imposter syndrome, and I hope that it's useful for yourself as well. The final thing that I've learned from 2020 is this idea that you can't really have success without failures. And I know this is one of the most generic lessons and that so many of us have heard it before, but especially when reading The Third Door by Alex Banayan, I was learning more and more about the actual specific failures that a lot of the most successful people in the world went through to get where they are today. It's completely changed my mindset on what failures are. Failures are the stepping stones to success, and it's quite simply the only mindset that you can have about them. As long as you keep learning from your failures and don't repeat them twice, there is absolutely nothing to be afraid of, and coming across one of them here or there is extremely positive and will only make sure that you do even better day after day after day, and that you succeed at the things that you want to in life. So as I've said, 2020 has been one of the most powerful years for me. It's been a year of massive changes, new beginnings, this YouTube channel, a new job, finishing university. But these lessons that I've learned, I'm extremely grateful to have learned them, and I can't wait to learn more in the next year to come. If you've liked this video, it would be amazing if you could subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next video.